Hey everyone, and today I'll be walking through a beginner-friendly guide to NordVPN. So if you've never used a VPN before, or just want to make sure you're getting the most out of your subscription, this will cover everything from setting it up to the features you'll actually want to use. Now, one of the nice things about NordVPN is how consistent it is across different devices. Whether you're on Windows, macOS, Android, iPhone, or even Linux, it all looks and feels the same. This is really useful if you're switching between platforms, because there's no relearning anything. And speaking of Linux, it now has a full graphical interface as well. So instead of having to use command line prompts like you used to, you can now just click through everything the same way you would on a desktop or mobile app. So that's a really helpful improvement, especially for anyone using a Linux setup day to day. Once you've got the app installed, connecting to a server is pretty straightforward.
Over here on the left, you'll see a list of countries. So you can just scroll through the list, choose the country you need, and then select the server you'd like. And if you just want to get connected quickly, there's also a quick connect button that automatically picks the fastest server for your location. It's especially helpful if you're not trying to fine-tune anything and just want to get online with one click.
And since connection speed can vary slightly depending on your protocol, it's worth knowing what each one does, especially if you want to optimize for either speed or reliability.
So speaking of protocols, this is where Nord gives you a few different options depending on what you're after, whether it's speed, stability, or privacy. By default, NordVPN uses something called NordLynx, which is based on the newer WireGuard protocol. And for most people, this will be the best choice. It's the fastest and generally the most efficient. So it's great for streaming, downloading, or just everyday browsing. Now, if you're having trouble with a connection or using Nord in a more restrictive environment, you can switch over to OpenVPN UDP, which is still pretty fast, but a bit less reliable depending on your connection. There's also OpenVPN TCP, which is slower but more stable, and that's sometimes helpful for getting around network blocks. Nord also includes IKEV2 IPsec, which is more commonly used on mobile, and then a lesser-known option called Nord Whisper, which is specifically designed for highly restricted networks. So if you're traveling or living somewhere with strong VPN censorship, that's the one you'd want to try. Something else that makes NordVPN stand out is the variety of specialty servers you can use depending on what you're doing online. So if you need access to the dark web but don't want to install the Tor browser, there's an Onion over VPN option. This routes your traffic through the Tor network automatically, which adds another layer of privacy without you needing to configure anything extra. If you're in a country with strong internet censorship, Nord's obfuscated servers can make your VPN traffic look like regular web traffic. This helps you stay connected even in places that normally block VPNs altogether. Then there's a set of peer-to-peer servers that are optimized for torrenting, and these are great because you can just connect and start downloading. There's no need to hunt for specific servers or tweak any settings. You'll also find double VPN servers, which pass your connection through two different VPN locations. That adds a second layer of encryption and is mainly useful for people who want maximum privacy. Just keep in mind, this option is only available when using OpenVPN, and it's not supported on NordLynx. Another option is a dedicated IP, which gives you the same IP address every time you connect. And that can be useful for things like remote work or logging into banking apps that don't like when your IP keeps changing. So overall, these specialty servers aren't something everyone will need to use, but they're great to have on hand if you do run into specific use cases that call for them.
In terms of raw coverage, Nord has one of the largest server networks out there. There are over 7,900 servers available across 165 countries. So whether you're trying to access content from a specific region or just want better performance from a nearby server, there is plenty of flexibility to work with. And with this many locations available, it also helps reduce congestion, so you're less likely to run into slowdowns during peak times. Now, when it comes to security, NordVPN includes all the essentials plus a few extras that give you more control over how your data is handled. First is the kill switch, which is enabled by default. What this does is block your internet connection entirely if the VPN ever disconnects unexpectedly, so your IP doesn't get exposed even for a second. There's also an app kill switch for Windows and Mac OS, which lets you pick specific apps to shut down instead. That way, if the VPN drops, only the selected apps close, while everything else keeps running as normal. Split tunneling is available too. This lets you decide which apps use the VPN and which ones don't. For example, you might want your browser protected but not your streaming app, and you can set that up directly in the app settings. And finally, there's support for custom DNS, which gives you the option to configure your own DNS settings manually. something more advanced users might appreciate for speed or filtering purposes. Nord also includes something called threat protection, which helps block ads, trackers, and malicious websites while you're browsing. It's available on all major platforms and works as long as the VPN is active. There's also an upgraded version called Threat Protection Pro available on Windows and Mac OS that works even when you're not connected to a VPN server. So even if you forget to turn the VPN on, you still get some protection in the background. It's a nice layer of extra security, and for most people, it's worth leaving on.
Another tool built into Nord is Dark Web Monitor, which keeps an eye out for your personal info, like emails or passwords that may have leaked onto the dark web. If anything shows up, you'll get a notification right in the app.
It's a simple but helpful way to stay ahead of potential security breaches, especially if you reuse passwords or have older accounts floating around online.
If you want secure cloud storage, Nord also offers Nord Locker. This is an encrypted storage feature that lets you save files privately and share them securely between your devices, or even with trusted users. So whether it's sensitive documents, photos, or just things you don't want floating around in standard cloud storage, this gives you a more private alternative. Now, if you're using NordVPN on Android, it's worth pointing out that you get pretty much the same features as the desktop version, including kill switch, split tunneling, threat protection, and all the protocol options. But one unique feature here is tap jacking protection, which helps protect against malicious apps that try to trick you by placing fake overlays on your screen. It's not something most people think about, but it's a smart addition, especially on mobile, where those attacks are more common. So if you're still on the fence about trying NordVPN, just know there's a 30-day money-back guarantee on every plan, and it's handled through their 24/7 live chat, which makes the process really simple if you ever need to use it. Also, if you're looking for any current discounts or special offers, I've included links down in the description that'll take you to the best deal I could find. So feel free to check those out if you're interested. But overall, whether you're new to VPNs or just want something secure and beginner-friendly that works across all your devices, Nord's combination of speed, security, and ease of use makes it a really strong option. So hopefully you found this guide helpful, and if you did, please consider leaving a thumbs up, as I always appreciate that. And if you have any questions or something I didn't cover that you're curious about, feel free to drop those down in the comments below. I always do my best to respond and help out where I can. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.